Hello and welcome to a new series, everyone. This is gonna be something I want to do on my channel a little bit. It's something where we just discuss random topics. It can be League of Legends stuff, it can be any type of stuff. If you have any ideas for discussions, you can feel free to leave them in the comments. Today we're going to be talking about First Strike as a rune in League of Legends, and why I actually think it's really good. It should be noted that I'm only Gold 2. I don't know everything about this game. I'm just giving some thoughts about First Strike and why I think it's actually really strong. Let's take a look at what First Strike actually is. First Strike is one of the main runes in the inspiration tree, one of the top ones, as you can see on the image to the left. And to the right we see the description of it. Basically the way it works is if you hit an enemy first, then for the next 3 seconds you deal 7% bonus true damage to champions and you gain gold based on the bonus damage dealt. After those 3 seconds the rune goes on cooldown. The cooldown is based on your champion's level. On the bottom right you can see the cooldown for each level. And if you don't hit the enemy before they hit you, First Strike will go on full cooldown. So that's how the rune itself works. And now that we understand that, we can move on to how can you see that you have First Strike up. So the first thing you'll notice is that next to your champion there's this little Hextech looking ball thing. When that ball is next to your champion, that means that you have First Strike up. If you look at the bar above your abilities, you can also see how it looks when First Strike is on cooldown versus when it isn't. The one on cooldown being the top one, and the one on the bottom being when it's off cooldown. You can also see that it moves from one end of the bar to the other end. Who can use First Strike? That's an important question too, because First Strike, from my understanding, doesn't apply to every champ in the game. Now, who can use First Strike? Control mages can use it. I just showed you a seer with First Strike. That's the rune page I use when I play him. Other than that, Aurelion Sol, Syndra, Orianna maybe. Artillery mages can use it. Six, Serath Vel'Koz, because they're safe, they stand far away. Same with the control mages, they can stand pretty far away most of the time. Asol stands a bit closer than the rest of them, but he can still use First Strike well. Assassins can use it for more one-shot potential. Naafiri and Zed are the ones that come to mind for that, and even lane bullies. I've seen Lucian sometimes running it. Caitlyn is very popular as an AD carry right now with First Strike as well. Now let's get into why I think it's so good. Why is First Strike so good? It's because it allows you to manage your mana 10 times better than if you don't have it. Why is that? Here's a couple of examples, right? We can see this is again a seer, level 2 a seer, right? He has W and Q. His W is 40 mana and his Q is 70. So if you only use your Q, if your First Strike is up, you're saving a lot of mana because you're no longer just spamming your abilities with no thought put into it. You're basically putting a reminder next to your champion that tells you when to trade, when to use your main trading ability. For a seer, I would say that's his Q. You can also say, you can argue his E. I'm okay with it. You can argue that. But I would say, generally speaking, I like to save my E, but Q is the important one to talk about here. When it comes to Syndra, for example, it could be, normally you only use your Q, but then when you have First Strike up, you might go for a QW trade. Get a good trade-off like that. You get some more damage, you get your passive stacks, etc. The list goes on and on. Lucian's dash, Caitlyn's ult, there are a ton of these things. Maybe Caitlyn ult is not the best example, but that's kind of what you see in the meta currently. So, First Strike is broken not because you gain gold or because you do a lot of damage. That's a great bonus to have, but at the end of the day, the reason it's so good is because it teaches you a fundamental in mana management and the amount of thought process there is with the rune in play. Not only are you saving a ton of mana, you're also thinking about when you're trading. You're thinking about how you're trading and why you're trading. All these questions and this intensity around the game is just super good, especially in lower elo. That's why I think this rune is so busted. It really allows you to think about the game in a different way. That was the first episode of Let's Discuss. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more.